This is a video about skidding logs with a farm type tractor and a PTO style winch. I start with a trip out to where the trees are that I'm going to be skidding in order to give you an idea of what the woods look like and the distance involved. This is the first of several logs that I'm going to be skidding out. They've been bucked up to the length that I am going to skid them. This is the chain choker setup that I use. This hook is not just a standard slip hook. It is designed specifically for using on a choker. The other end of the chain has a piece of rod attached to it so that you can slip this underneath the log, pull it through from the other side. The chain is a 5/16 grade 70 chain, so it's pretty strong and will hold pretty much anything that winch will pull. I put the chain fairly close to the end of the log, not so close that it'll slip off, but close enough that it will pick up the end as I get to the winch. With the chain choker, it's easy to rotate the log or roll it. You just slide the chain around to the opposite side and pull on it, and it will pick it up or roll it over top of a log or a mound like there, and it works quite well. The winch is a Farmy 501, has about a 12,000 pound pull. There are two cable positions, one at the very top and one about the bottom, which is I hooked the log to there. That's very effective for pulling on a sideways slant, so you're not tipping the tractor over or whatever, although you still don't want to pull straight sideways, but that helps quite a bit if you're out about a 45. The logs are not straight behind the winch, so I pull forward and pull the logs towards the winch to get them lined up better. I like to do that before I finish fastening them to the winch. In this case, I do it twice to get them very straight behind. The weight of these two logs, along with the weight of the winch, is too much for the lifting arms of my 3-point hitch to pick up. So I pick the winch up and then cable in, and the cable will pick up the logs slightly and get them off of the ground at the front, so I'm only dragging the tail ends of them. This is just a view from a different angle. The tractor is a 1970s vintage Oliver 1365, about 60 horsepower. I have two counterweights on the front, plus I've rigged up this job box which holds all my tools, extra chains, straps, pretty much anything that I would need while I'm out in the woods working on this stuff. To give it extra weight for counterbalancing the winch and any logs that I'm dragging. That extra weight really helps going up hills, keeps the front end on the ground so you can steer, although sometimes you still end up steering with the brakes. That first ride through the woods was coming from the shed where I store the tractor. This ride is we're going down to the log landing where I store the logs before sawing or selling them. Even though there's snow on the ground, there's lots of areas that are muddy, as we will see in a few minutes. This is kind of late spring and we've had some late snows. Going through this mud is one of the reasons why I try to keep the logs up off the ground as much as possible. Keep the dirt that is on the logs to a minimum, which helps keep the bandsaw blades sharper longer. It also eliminates some of the scraping and brushing of mud off of the logs before I saw them. Although it's hard to tell with the snow on the ground, I am driving on all established trails. I try to set up trails well beforehand, and I rarely go off of them. That's one of the reasons for the winch. I can pull 200 foot with that winch, so I can be on a trail and pull the logs to the trail. We are now approaching the log landing and my sawmill area. Although the slip hook flipped over when I dropped the log, you'll see that when it was being pulled, it was facing, the opening of the hook is facing away from the direction of the pull. When the chains get stuck under the log, I use the winch to pull them free. Always stand to the side of the line of the pull from the cable. If that cable snaps or breaks loose or something while it's under heavy tension, it can come flying back. It's going to come back in the line that it's being pulled. So stay off to the side of it so you don't get smacked with something.